What's going on, y'all? Happy Friday. Hope you guys are doing really well. I figured I'm doing a mastering session right now. I'm going to master a record with Logic Pro. So I figured, hey, why not do this live, and share it with the YouTube fam. You know what I'm saying? In the mailing list. So I wanted to kind of invite you guys in to see my process, and I'll be answering questions and stuff. Just drop them in the comments, whatever you got questions about as I go along with this track. But the first thing to always remember with mastering is that you got to listen, right? Crazy, right? I can't believe it. You got to listen to the actual record and the music. Such an important part and aspect of mastering is just learning how to listen in detail, understand frequencies, dynamic range. A lot of people are so focused on LUFs and loudness and all that shit, but it actually doesn't matter that much anymore in 2021. It used to. Used to be a really big deal, but the average Spotify loudness right now is actually probably like -10, -9 LUFs. And a lot of people are still trying to get like -3, -2. And it's like, it just doesn't matter unless you're going to be slinging CDs on Venice Beach, right? So here we go. I'm going to get into the session. I'm going to show you kind of how I prep it, how I get things going. And just let me know if you're here, drop your name or whatever so I can say what's up and connect. And let's check it out. Today what I got is actually kind of like an R&B, like a new modern R&B track, right? I'm going to play it. It's from this artist named Saint Thief. And he actually won a free mastering from our live reviews. So if you guys aren't part of the live reviews, definitely jump in on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Really, really cool time to get your songs reviewed, get them in front of people. And also I'll do feedback, like straight up, like really in detail feedback on your arrangement, your production, mix and master. What's up, Nick? How you doing, Omar? And Nick, we got two Nicks in the house. That's what's up. All right, so yeah, let's get right into it, guys. The first thing with mastering, like I said, it's just I'll look at the waveform, and I see right away, like I have quite a bit of headroom. I'm thinking this is probably about 5 dB or so of headroom here. But you can also see that it's pretty limited and compressed in the mix. Just by reading the waveform, I can tell that. And the reason being is because you could see from the RMS, like this RMS to the peaks seems really small. So that's good. It means like we can probably get the record pretty loud, but it also means that we're going to probably face some challenges of having to trim some stuff out. Okay, so just, first thing I notice and the first thing I look at is the waveform. I just kind of read the waveform, and it's something to get really good at. Okay, so let's play the track and let's listen, and I'm just going to take mental note about the issues, and I'll let you guys know what I'm hearing here at the studio. And I am in a tuned room. This room is tuned with a bunch of real traps, bass trapping in specific zones and parts of the room. The speakers and monitors were put in the spot that they perform the best in the room. They are Focal SM9s. Just in case anyone's wondering about the gear I'm using, I am using the Apollo X6 for my conversion, so it's not like insanely great conversion, but I find that like the new X series Apollos are pretty damn good, and the lows are really great on these converters compared to a lot of different converters. So pretty good converters. I love the monitors. I've been using these monitors for over 10 years, so I know them really well. They're 3-way monitors. They have a beryllium tweeter. They go down to 30 hertz is when they start to roll off, which means I get all the way down to 20 hertz. And I also get all the way up to 40,000 hertz. Okay, so pretty wide spectrum of frequencies, and that's really important to mastering. Okay, so let's listen to the track, and I'll tell you my notes.
So that's how I like it. I know that your love ain't
Okay, so that's enough for me to really understand the track, the vibe, and sort of what the issues are and what I'm going to run into. The first thing I'm looking at is, it's funny, it's hitting exactly -5 is kind of where it's limited, which I don't know if the artist put a limiter on it and said -5 as a brick wall, which is something I don't really recommend if you're sending it to a mastering engineer. And the only reason being is because you're now setting like your own level and limit with your own limiter, which is probably just like, you know, limiter plugin, Ozone, whatever. But then I don't really get like the full dynamics. I can't, you know, use what I have here and listen here and say, actually, let me figure out where that true peak is. So I'm already peaked at like -5, which means he could already be clipping his limiter, which means he could be chopping over off the tops of transients, right? So I want to be able to do that as a mastering engineer, right? So that's the first thing. Second thing is the bass and sub bass is way too much. It's just not going to work as we get louder in the track, and you'll see why. That sub bass is also eating the vocals. It's also eating a lot of the melody and harmonic structure in the chords and that like electric piano loop thing. So we got to be really careful about that, because you start to just lose like all the sensation and the sensual parts of the R&B in here, right? Like this is supposed to be like a love song, and I can feel that vibe, but the bass is just like it doesn't need that kind of bass. We need to be able to hear the other elements, and it needs depth. And it's just kind of making it not so three-dimensional, that sub bass is. It's also pretty stereo. So when I flip to mono, the sub bass kind of goes from here to like, you know, here. And I'm like, wow, there's a lot of sub information in the sides, which is not always the best, but it's also something where I don't mind it. Just I'm going to kind of clean it up and make sure that most of the really low lows are in the center and anchored, right? And I want to hear those vocals better, and I want to hear like the spacey elements better. So those are the things I'm going to start to try to bring out as I bring out some level. And the vocal can be a little bit more forward, I believe, especially the lead vocal. So there's a lot of just different things that I'm hearing that I want to shape, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm just going to pop on an EQ, a dangerous EQ that is just literally going to take care of all like the bullshit at the bottom. So I might try between 12 and 24. And this is just a really, really great mastering filter. That's all it is, okay? So like that's what I use it for. You could use the EQ in here as well, but I just like it right here for this low, this high pass filter here, okay? So I'm gonna go from 12 to 18, and we're just gonna see how that clears up kind of some of the sub range. Okay, so just that right there really gives us a lot more of the vocal, which is interesting in mastering, because a lot of people want to add things, right? They're like, oh, I need more vocal. I better go put 1K in the mix, you know, and like push it forward. Like, nah, you need to get rid of the stuff that's doing too much. Another thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to put on one of my favorite plugins just for seeing what's going on, which I showed this in the last live mastering session I did. But it's the SPL Hawkeye, which I really think is a great plugin for this. Just great metering, you know, and it doesn't cost much money. You can also get it like in the pack, you know what I mean? Like $10 a month or something, 15 bucks a month. Yo, Lauren, no problem, man. Thanks for always showing up and showing love, bro. Always means a lot to me. So I'm going to just kind of check this out. I'm going to see the LUFs, see where that's hitting. I want to also kind of see where the low end is on here and see what kind of is in the sides and out of phase. And that's all I'm going to do is just kind of check out stuff a little bit. I know that your love ain't nothing but a reflex, but fuck all of the lies and all the secrets, 'cause life is way too short for any regrets. Yeah, fell in love with a photo. Okay, so like right away we're starting to get more vocal, which is awesome, but you can also see like how much crazy stuff is going on down at the bottom here. I mean, that sub stuff is just blasting, right? Which is covering everything. So right here, like you're looking at like sub frequencies just, which is fine. I like sub frequencies, but we're gonna actually like make those a little harmonically pleasing and more analog sounding, because it just doesn't sound warm enough for an R&B record to me. And also we're going to, yo, thank you so much, Lauren. Appreciate that. Super chat from Lauren, my man. Always appreciate you, bro. I got to get a free mastering for you, bro. I got to master a record for you. So the LUFs, we have plenty of headroom. I'm thinking this record's going to sound really good, probably around like -9 to -7, right? Like, I don't think I'll go much louder than that because it is a pretty soft record. And that snare drum is just, I feel like that's just going to cut our head off if we go too loud. Another thing on the correlation, one thing I'm noticing is there's just not a whole lot in the sides, which makes it a very mono record, right? So we're going to start to stereo it out a little bit more as well. So I'm just going to get rid of this guy. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to carve just a little bit more with a EQ, a BX Digital V3. And reason being because I love their mid-side mode on this EQ. And I love the ability to solo out frequencies. Like it does this better than anything. And also the stereo width on this is incredible. And I find that if you go over like 120, you know, you get into this range, you're doing a little too much. Just because I want to widen with like a few things in mastering. I don't want to use one thing to widen. Just something that I think is more musical. So 114% is great. I'm going to turn this on, and I'm again going to shave out even more. We'll go up to like 24 or so. And then I'm going to search around the sub frequencies. And I'm also going to push the mids just a little bit more because I feel like it's missing the mids. Everything's kind of tucked back to me, which is cool. We don't want to lose the intention of the record, which is like buttery, silky, smooth kind of vibe. But we also want it to translate. We want it to play well on any system, right? And right now it's not playing well in the studio. It's just like all sub. So here's what we're gonna do here. I want to also filter out some low end in the sides. This is the stereo section and this is the mono section. So basically middle of our image and outsides of our image. And I already know that I want to mono maker this, which is basically going to put the sub frequencies in the middle, and it's going to make sure that they stay in the middle. And that's going to be, for me, probably around 45, but we're going to search here before we really like dial that in. All right. So let's get into this a little bit and do some more carving. Don't know how we ever left you solo. I just falling off, reaching out, I just wanna hear you say you want it. Hold on to me, girl, just enjoy the ride. You think you know I'm hoping, you tryna bust it open. I just can't get you out my head. Yeah, yeah, I just don't know how we got. I've completed. I might have to go and get you in another season. I had bought so hard, baby, you think I believe it. Now I had to get your number, now I just delete it. I can't talk about you like I need it. I be going so hard, you can see it. Yeah, but I just had to get my hands. Too much of that depends, cause I'm trying to get business. And everything in between, and the in between. So there we go. So we're already just tightening things up. We're hearing more of the vocal. I'm just trying to get things like much more, I guess like so they translate, right? Like, so now I'm going to start coloring a little bit more, and I'm going to start giving a little bit more level. I'm going to start, you know, giving some harmonics to it and giving it more depth, because I really want to bring the depth out in the record. And yeah, that's really like the idea here, and warm it up because it sounds so digital. Like it sounds like it was made in Ableton or Pro Tools, like straight up nothing sounds analog at all about it. I mean, kind of the electric piano sounds a little bit analog, but everything sounds so sterile. And you'll see what I mean by the end of this master. You'll be like, oh, I get it now. But yeah, what's up Luciano? Yeah, the BX Digital is amazing, love it. Yo, Jesse, what's up, bro? Always good seeing you. Castro's in the house, my guy. I just mastered a record for Castro, actually. I had that shit stuck in my head for so long, dude. All right, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this with just a little bit more compression to tie this together. And something I use a lot for this specific thing, just to give it some glue and stuff. People use different stuff, but I'm going to use the, where is it? Plug-in Alliance. Yeah, so the Townhouse bus compressor. I like this one a lot for the SSL vibe, and also it has like some additional stuff that I really love about it. Like it's got this headroom, SC filter, and this mix knob where I can do parallel. And I love doing parallel on masters, like super cool. That way you're not like losing, you're not making like the record pump or anything, and you're not losing much. You're just kind of adding that weight and that thickness. So let's get some of this going in here and give it some glue, give it some gel, and give it some more thickness, and tighten it together a little bit more.
More than you need me, and I can only go where you lead me, but that's how you like it, so that's how I like it. And I know that your love ain't nothing but a reflex, but fuck all of the lies and all the secrets, cause life is way too short for any regrets. Yeah, fell in love with a photo, don't know how we ever left you solo. I just know that I'm fucking with you, my legs tied but I still could run a mile. On edge, think I'm falling off, reaching out, I just wanna hear you say you want it. Hold on to me, girl, just enjoy the ride. You think you know I'm hoping, you tryna bust it open, I just can't get you out my head. Yeah, I just don't know how we got our digits swapped that one time. You know I just needed some, yeah, hey. You knew I just needed too much I've completed. I might have to go and get you in another season. I had bought so hard, baby, you think I believed it. Now I had to get your number, now I just delete it. I can't talk about you like I need it. I be going so hard, you can see it, yeah. But I just had to get my ends, too much of that depends, cause I'm trying to get back. I'm like, who am I? Even try, can't deny. I ain't even gonna hold you. Think I'm trying to get old you. So if I gotta look the other way, about who you loved yesterday, then you better stay the fuck out the way, cause a nigga might catch his fade, baby. More than you need me, and I can only go where you lead me, but that's how you like it, so that's how I like it.
Okay, so we're just kind of gluing it a little bit more together. And now I want to bring out like some more of the harmonic stuff. That's kind of like, I'm missing that a lot. So another plugin I really love for harmonics. And you notice I'm like doing very light stuff, right? Like I'm not going crazy with any of this stuff. That's something like you'll definitely do if your ears aren't trained too well. which I don't like doing as a mastering, like when I'm mastering a record, because I don't want to take away from the record and what the intention was. I just want to add to the record. I just want the record to come to life a little bit more, you know, jump out of the speakers a little bit more, etc. Like I'm not trying to, you know, change the record. I don't want, you know, to get this back to, you know, Saint Thief and him be like, yo, dude, the low end's just like not bumping anymore. You know, like how annoying would that be? Like someone just changes your record. Like I fucking hate that. Like cause I make records, you know, like I'm not gonna just go send it to a mastering engineer and like they change everything. And I'm like, why'd you take all the low end out? You know, that was the sub, man. That was the feel. And that's not my intention ever as I'm mastering a record. I want it to keep the same vibe. And that's a really hard thing to do sometimes when you have all these tools and all these plugins that you can really fuck things up with. So hire an engineer, hire me. Don't try and do all this stuff on your own because you just torture yourself unless you want to become a mixing mastering engineer. So I'm going to give this just like a little bit of sauce here, and in the mids, I'm going to kind of widen this out. This again is in mid-side mode, so this is the side and that's the middle. And I'm going to go like in here. I just know this plugin like very well, so I'm just going to dial this in a little bit. All right, and I'm going to listen.
I know that your love ain't nothing but a reflex. But fuck all of the lies and all the secrets. 'Cause life is way too short for any regrets. Yeah. Fell in love with a photo. Don't know how we ever left you solo. I just know that I'm fucking with you. But legs tied, but I still could run a mile. On edge, think I'm falling off. Reaching out, I just wanna hear you say you want it. Hold on to me, girl, just enjoy the ride. You think you know I'm hoping.
I mean, come on, you know, like it's starting to like get, I mean, if you want to know what to listen for as I'm doing this stuff, I'm just going to explain it every time, right? Like this is basically just going to give you that third dimension. It makes it feel peeled back. It gives you more time and space. It's not like, you know, just adding distortion or anything like that. It's literally like making the reverbs pop out more, which then shows you where the tails of the reverbs are. And if you know where the tails of the reverbs are in the RT60 time and where it falls off, then you feel the dimension and you feel the depth, right? Because it has fuzz around it. It's starting to come out, right? Luciano is asking, is there any difference between Plugin Alliance and UAD plugin version? I hear the difference, yes, but it's very, very minimal. Like, I think sometimes it's literally just for me, it's just like, you know, CPU. Like, do I want to kind of, I kind of want to balance things between the CPU and the UAD. I have, you know, 4, 6, 10, 14, like 14 cores of processing power on UAD. So I'm not too worried about the UAD plugins taking too much, but I do think about like the math it takes to the computer to go out Thunderbolt, do all the math inside of the boxes, and then come back. I think like it's just kind of scary to me to think about that math. So sometimes I just mix up the UAD and I mix up the onboard, you know, native plugins. But then again, like, dude, if you know these plugins well enough, you can get either one singing. It doesn't matter. All right, so now I'm going to start to clean up. Because now I want more of this like separation going, right? And then once I clean up, I'm probably going to tone down even more of that sub, because the sub is just insane. Like, I can't believe how much sub he's got in here. And it sounds good probably at like low volumes, you know what I mean? Because like, or at high volumes even, right? Because you're like, yeah, it's just fucking bumping, right? And it's probably the speakers he's listening on. He's like on some HS8s or some prosumer stuff that's just like the sub and the frequencies and the low end, and it just sounds good, you know, feels good. And I get it. But it's just not going to translate. It won't work in a lot of places. Like people will be like, I can't hear what he's saying. Like, you know, it probably works on the phone when it plays through the phone speakers, because phone speakers aren't even playing back that sub. Or HS5s or smaller speaker systems, like they're just not getting that sub, right? But you're taking a ton Like it's just taking so much voltage is what it's doing. So the voltage makes sure that your record's not going to be that loud, and it's going to basically pump, right? So every time the sub hits, it ducks other stuff because your limiters, it's reacting to the sub frequencies because that's the most voltage hitting your limiter, right? So that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to shave every time I do this stuff. So this Goldfoss is going to give us a little more dimension. I'm going to use these filters, pull them in so I'm not affecting that sub whatsoever, probably all the way up to like 50 or so. And also here, I don't want too much top stuff because I just find it gets harsh. So here we go.
And I can only go where you lead me, but that's how you like it. So that's how I like it. I know that your love ain't nothing but a reflex, but fuck all of the lies and all the secrets, 'cause life is way too short for any regrets. Yeah, fell in love with a photo. Don't know how we ever left you solo. I just know that I'm fucking with you. My legs tired, but I still could run a mile. On edge, think I'm falling off. Reaching out, I just wanna hear you say you want it. Hold on to me, girl, just enjoy. And I can only go where you lead me, but that's how you like it. So that's how I like it. I know that your love ain't nothing but a reflex, but fuck all of the lies and all the secrets, 'cause life is way too short for any regrets. Yeah, fell in love with a photo. Don't know how we ever left you solo.
Okay, so as you can see, we're at negative 1.2 now, so we've actually made up about 4 dB of gain just by using these plugins, which is really, you know, that's how mastering goes. I'm not using one plugin to gain up 10 dB, right? Like I'm not throwing Ozone on there and being like, yo, I got to make up, you know, 15 dB of gain and slam the shit so it can be loud, bro, and Ozone just does it automatically. Like that's not mastering. That's trusting some company that has some really good marketing. Marketing jargon, you know. Use the Ozone plugin. Master automatically. Go to lander.com and instantly master your songs. I always just think that shit's so funny. So anyway, Goldfoss cleans it up a little bit more. And now I'm going to get into just kind of basically bringing some stuff forward a little bit more even. And then, you know, because it's almost there. It's almost there as far as like my, like the feel of it, the analog feel and wanting it to be a little more analog. So I'm just going to bring in just a little bit of this sauce, the inflator, and I might mess around with this curve, but let's find out. And I'm going to do band split for sure because there's tons of sub in here.
And I can only go where you lead me, but that's how you like it. So that's how I like it. I know that your love ain't nothing but a reflex, but fuck all of the lies and all the secrets, 'cause life is way too short for any regrets. Yeah, fell in love with a photo. Don't know how we ever left you solo.
All right, so it's getting there. Now, just to make sure that I don't bring out the wrong frequencies, which is all that high stuff, I'm just going to start to de-ess a little bit in the middle because that stuff is starting to really pop out, you know, all the sibilance in his vocal. And this is like really the importance of getting a great mix going, right? Like the mix is going to determine the master. And the mix may sound really, really good when it's not mastered or when it's at a really low level. But when you finally get it to a point where it's market viable and it's competing on Spotify or wherever else, meaning it's at like a negative, you know, 10 to -5, -3 LUFs, and it's loud enough to compete anywhere, then all of that high end, all that other shit, all the problems will come out. And those problems have to be dealt with usually on the mix. But I'm going to deal with them more so on the master on this one, which kind of sucks because it takes away from the record, right? So this is why I always like, dude, just hire someone to mix your record. And I'm not saying like, you know, just hire anybody, you know, or you know, someone that's, oh dude, I mix, I got plugins. Like, you got to find people that are really live this lifestyle. Like, I've spent literally tens of thousands of dollars just on my plugins, like the UAD plugins, the OEKs, the Gullfosses and Oxfords and all this stuff. This stuff is not cheap, you know, it adds up, the fab filters and all that. But anyway, that's a lifestyle, you know, you're not going to want to get into that unless you're really in this and you make a living doing this, because otherwise, how do you even afford it, right? So I'm going to use DS the Master. This is probably a really good preset just to start with. And then I'm going to mess around with some stuff. Like the quality I always want on the highest, because I don't give a fuck. And I got a 10-core machine and I'm just like, you know, go hard. All right, and let's see what we can do here, because I think the spitty stuff is probably right around here, right around the 8K area.
And I can only go where you lead me, but that's how you like it. So that's how I like it. And I know that your love ain't nothing but nothing but a reflex. But fuck all of the lies and all the secrets. 'Cause life is way too short for any regrets. Yeah, fell in love with a photo. Don't, and I can only go where you lead me. But that's how you like it. So that's how I like it. And I know that your love ain't nothing but a reflex. But fuck all of the lies and all the secrets. 'Cause life is way too short for any regrets. Yeah, fell in love with a photo. Don't know.
Like, so much better, right? Like, it just softens that stuff out. It feels better. And now we're getting it loud, but you're also just not getting all that brittle shit that just hurts your ears and the stuff that kind of pops out with that, you know? Because as you get loud, again, you get everything loud. And the first things to get loud are going to be the harshest frequencies, because that's just how we hear things, right? So as you bring levels up and you start to limit, you're going to bring out all the harsh frequencies even more, which is going to kill you. It's going to tear your head off. All right. Okay. Last couple plugins I'm going to use here. I don't really know if I need this limitless plugin, but I'm going to pop it on here and see what it can do. And I'm going to do this smooth vibe here. Yo, Castro, thank you so much, man. You're always showing love. I really, really, really appreciate that, man. Like, you have no idea. Really, really matters. So you're saying, this is awesome. Can you do a mix video next? Yeah, hey, you know, I was thinking about doing that. It's just mixing is going to be like way deeper. So maybe what I'll do is I'll break down modules of live mixing. Like, hey, today I'm going to mix and I'm going to focus on vocals, you know, or today I'm going to mix and focus on just the drums, etc. You know, stuff like that. Because like mixing a full record live would be, I don't usually even do that. Like, I don't mix a full record in one sitting, because I'll mix, you know, for a few hours and then I'll take ear breaks. And then I'll come back and I'll mix for a couple more hours and I'll take an ear break. And sometimes like I'll finally get it to the mastering phase and I'll want to come back the next day with fresh ears to finish off the master. So mixing for me is a huge process that's tedious, with editing, tuning, fades, getting rid of noises, getting rid of plosives, stuff that's really not that sexy, you know? But I'll definitely do like maybe some live modules where, you know, shit, man, like sometimes I'll spend 20 to 40 hours on a mix, you know, especially if it's, you know, needing to be like that big record sound. And a lot of the stuff you guys see like on Mix with the Masters and stuff where people are actually mixing records, like they're not actually going through the process of mixing a record. They're showing you like, hey, so this is kind of what I did. This is what I did, you know. It's super edited. Like, they're like, oh, it takes me 4 to 6 hours to mix a record. Like, yeah, but they're not telling you about their assistant spending 12 hours on edits and vocal tuning and delay throws. And, you know, Jason Joshua's got a Mix with the Masters series, and he's a legendary mixer, and he's so good at what he does. But, you know, he has a team. like anybody, right? He's got guys editing and he's got guys sound designing and doing delay throws and filtered vocal distortions and stuff for him and setting up his session where everything's routed exactly how he wants, color coordinated. You know, you guys just don't want to see that stuff. It's not that sexy. It's not fun to watch. But yeah, I definitely do like some modules. But yeah, I'm going to take this release pretty far down because it's got that kick drum going, you know, like the bass is popping. And then ceiling, I'm going to hit this at like probably -3. This record doesn't need to be super loud. Yeah, all of them have a team. You kidding me, man? Like you couldn't, like, listen, a normal like workload for us here even would be to get at least 2 to 5 mixes out per day, right? Just think about those guys that are like, you know, just booked full with label work and all that. Like they are literally going, okay, I got to get all these records done in a record, you know, record timing. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you got to have a team. It's like any company, any business. All right, so a couple things I'm going to do with this is I'm going to take this band and I'm going to roll down this so that we're not getting so much sub. And you guys notice I'm taking little chunks out every single time, right? Like every time I do some processing. The Vertigo is doing maybe a little too much on the sub, but I really like what it's doing to bring in harmonics on the low end, okay? So that's why I'm using that, and same thing with the Oxford. But if I bring this curve up, you're just going to distort and choke out everything because it's going to bring up all the sub. So I'm going to bring this back down, which I'm finding is like right around 65 to 70 is where it really starts to hit. And then I'm also going to bring up this kind of 1K area just to give it a little bit more vocal push. And that's it. Let's start to limit on this, see what we got.
And I can only go where you lead me, but that's how you like it. So that's how I like it. I know that your love ain't nothing but a reflex. Fuck all of the lies and all the secrets.
Okay, one thing that's like absolutely destroying me on this song is how loud that snare is. It's so annoying. So this is a mix thing. This should have been fixed in the mixed. This should have been, you know, if I was mixing this record, I'd be mixing into a mastering bus and I'd be adjusting everything as I go. It's a modular process, but it's also when you affect one thing, it affects another thing. When you add something, it takes away from something else, and you have to remember that. So I'm going to just go in here. It's right around this like 2 to 3K, 2 to 5K sort of area. It's just cutting my head off.
And I can only go where you lead me, but that's how you like it. So that's how I like it. I know that your love ain't nothing but a reflex. But fuck all of the lies and all the secrets. 'Cause life is way too short for any regrets. Yeah, fell in love with a photo. Don't know how we ever left you solo. I just know that I'm fucking with you. My legs tied. Edge think I'm falling off. Reaching out, I just wanna hear you say you want it. Hold on to me, girl. Just enjoy the ride. You think
The best part about like mastering a record is things start coming out that you didn't hear before in the mix, you know? You're like, oh, whoa, that's dope. You know, it's just so much fun. It's so much fun to master. So this, I'm going to start to tame a little bit more. And I really like where this is at. I think I'm going to actually recover just a little bit more as well. And I'm going to bring this up to 60 or so. All right.
and I can only go where you lead me, but that's how you like it. So that
Another thing is there's like problems in the mix that I can't fix in a master. Like you can hear his compression pumping with that electric piano and the sub and the kick drum and like how they're hitting, and it's just mixed poorly, right? Like you have this like it's pumping, you know, stuff's ducking other stuff and it's not in a musical way. And that's really important to get down. Okay, so last thing, of course, is I love to finish off with Ozone 9, and that's just my little finishing move. It's like, finish him, you know. But I only use a couple things on here. I don't really go crazy with the Ozone. And the reason I open up the full Ozone advanced is because it has all the plugins within it. Instead of opening them all separately, I can just put them in a line here. So another plugin I'm going to hit in here is a dynamic EQ. And this is kind of how I do it. I like to use the equalizer. Exactly. Finish him. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to fucking kill it, right? Okay, so I'm going to look down here, and I'm still going to contain a little bit more of this and kind of just clean this up. But I'm mainly worried about this snare drum. And yeah, let's just get into it. I'll show you what I'm going to look for.
And I can only go where you lead me. That's how you like it. So that's how I like it. And I know that your love ain't nothing but a reflex. But fuck all of the lies and all the secrets. Cause life is way too short for any regrets. Yeah. And I can only go where you lead me. But that's how
Sorry, sometimes the panel for the live stream like gets hidden, and I'm like, where the fuck's the mic unmute, right? So yeah, you guys are asking about the like high air band frequencies and stuff. Yeah, sometimes I add that, but this is like a not an instance where I want more air or more brightness in the record. I think it'd just actually be annoying in an R&B track. I think really this kind of track, especially like just the range it's in and like where the sub's sitting and the vocal being right here, like it doesn't need that stuff. And the reason it doesn't need that stuff is because it's a smooth vibe, right? Like you want to be able to just like, you're not really playing this at the club, you know, like I wouldn't think of this as a club record. Like, oh yeah, play that R&B track, you know, like, you know, maybe if it was Drake and it had like some trap shit in it, you know, but I mean, it kind of has like some trap drums. It's a little bit faster, right? But it just doesn't feel like it feels more like, you know, something you jam to in the car, or you're playing at the crib at a house party, or you're making love to, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to make sure, like, why would you want all this crispy high end on it? Every record's going to be different, right? But this feels to me like more, and it's all in the mix, you know, it's like he's got tons of sub, and you know, he just wanted like a lot of sub, and he wanted this sub vibe and like this feel, you know, like it's coming from the other room sort of vibe. So, you know, I don't want to mess with that. And also, no, like it doesn't, like anything like silky air frequencies, I think they're super overrated. Biggest reason being is because usually when you start bringing in those air frequencies, it also brings out a lot of the harshness, right? Because like you affect 23K, you're also affecting, you know, half of that, and then you're affecting half of that. So you start getting into like oh, now I'm boosting like 5K, and I'm boosting 7K, and I'm boosting sibilance, and I'm boosting all this stuff that I didn't want in there. But yeah, I typically find that I'm making records more and more dark. And if you listen to any modern records, they're very dark. There's not a whole lot of air on them. The only time, like if I was mixing this record, I would put maybe some air in his vocal, and air in like the vocal or the background vocals, harmonies, stuff like that. But I take it out of everything else, right? Because I don't want that. Like, why do I want all that high end in a record? It hurts the ears, you know? Like, we want low end, we want soft, we want like, you know, like stuff that's like mid-range is like super important to these kind of records. So yeah, I've used a little bit of this, which is going to give you a lot more of the high end. I think it's really, really close, to be honest, guys. Like, I would be doing a couple more things. Like, I'm still not really satisfied with that mid-range, but it's a lot of this has to do with the mix. So I'm just going to kind of look around here on the sides and here. I'm hearing like these like sticks are coming as you're compressing and getting things louder. But then I'm going to check it on the Hawkeye and see where the LUFs are kind of sitting and hovering, and see what we did like and put in the stereo, because I think I'm pretty interested in that. But just a couple little things, like details, to finish this off.
And I can only I just know that I'm fucking. Reach. Say you want. Hold on to me. But I just can't get you out my head. Yeah, yeah. And I can only go where you lead me. But that's how you like it. So that's how I like it. I know that your love ain't nothing but a reflex. But fuck all of the lies and all the secrets. 'Cause life is way too short for any regrets. heart, baby, you think I believe it. Now I had to get your number, now I just delete it, delete it, delete it. I can't talk about you like I need it. I be going so hard, you can see it, yeah. But I just had to get my ends. Too much of that depends, cause I'm tryna get business and everything in between, and the in between. You know that I mentioned how the fuck you get close to me. Now how the fuck we supposed to be? I'm like who am I? Even try, can't deny. I ain't even gonna hold you. Think I'm trying to get old you. So if I gotta look the other way about who you loved yesterday, then you better stay the fuck out the way, cause a nigga might catch his fade, baby. I know I probably need you more than you need me, and I can only go where you lead me. But that's how you like, and I can only go where you lead me. That's how you like it, so that's how I like it. I know that your love ain't nothing but a reflex, but fuck all of the lies and all the secrets, cause life is way too short for any regrets. Yeah, yeah, fell in love with a photo. Don't know how we ever left you solo. I just know that I'm fucking with you. My legs tired, but I still could run a mile. On edge, think I'm falling off. Reaching out, I just wanna hear you say you want it. Hold on to me, girl, just enjoy the ride. You think you know I'm hoping, you tryna bust it open. I just can't get you out my head. Yeah, yeah. And I can only go where you lead me, but that's how you like it, so that's how I like it. I know that your love ain't nothing but a reflex, but fuck all of the lies and all the secrets, cause life is way too short for any regrets. Yeah, yeah, fell in love with a photo. Don't know how we ever left you solo. I just know that I'm fucking with you. I still could run a mile. On edge, think I'm falling off. Reaching out, I just wanna hear you say you want it. Hold on to me, girl, just enjoy the ride. You think you know I'm hoping, you tryna bust it open. I just can't get you out my head. Yeah, yeah. And I can only go where you lead me, but that's how you like it, so that's how I like it. I know that your love ain't nothing but a reflex, but fuck all of the lies and all the secrets, cause life is way too short for any regrets. Yeah, yeah, fell in love with a photo. Don't know how we ever left you solo. I just know that I'm fucking with you. My legs tired, but I still could run a mile. On edge, think I'm falling off. Reaching out, I just wanna hear you say you want it. Hold on to me, girl, just enjoy the ride. You think you know I'm hoping, you tryna bust it open. I just can't get you out my head. Yeah, yeah. And I can only go where you lead me, but that's how you like it, so that's how I like it. I know that your love ain't nothing but a reflex, but fuck all of the lies and all the secrets, cause life is way too short for any regrets.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty close right there. There's a couple more tweaks. I would probably give myself, 30-minute ear break and I'd finish this off. But, that's kind of it, guys. Did you guys have any, questions or, comments or anything about it? I love this. The bass is so intense in my car. It's like getting a massage. Yeah, I think that's kind of how he wanted the record, to be honest. Like, I think this record, as you listen to it and you feel it, It's very, very bass heavy. It's very like sub heavy. And I think that was kind of the intention. You know what I mean? So Castro, good question. What does Gullfoss do? I did like a full plugin of the week on that. I think you should check that out. But Gullfoss, basically what it does is it's an intelligent EQ. So it's looking at, when I tame, it's looking at frequencies that are problematic and masking other frequencies, and it's taming those down like intelligently as a look ahead. And in the recover, what it's doing is it's saying, okay, what are the frequencies that are kind of missing, that are kind of scooped out in the record and what you're listening to? And it's starting to bring those frequencies back in. So that's all it is. So for me, it's kind of like balancing things, which separates things, gives the track a lot more separation. And this boost here gives a smiley face curve, hence why this is boosted and that's boosted. If I go back to 0 on this, well, you still see it, but that's because I'm taming and recovering. But this is basically, see like how if I bring this up, bring it down, it's basically boosting the smiley face curve. So depending on what you're doing. So yeah, that's kind of like how you can recover and tame, and then you can kind of bring it back down to, you know, be more like that if you want a scooped kind of sounding record, you know. But yeah, I like it to be kind of smiley face, and it's sort of like making it a little bit more radio ready. Yeah. Do you mind mono compatibility? Yeah, absolutely. But it's not something I focus on, and I don't think any modern mastering engineer is going to focus on mono compatibility unless you make it specific that that's what you need. Like, hey, this is going to go to AM radio for some fucking reason, so it needs to sound great in mono, or, you know, it's going to be broadcasted in you know, the Arctic of Russia over a mono speaker, or it's an art install, you know what I mean, like something like that, or it's going to get cut to vinyl that's mono. I mean, mastering is basically just the final process for whatever medium you're mastering for. And I'd imagine this record is being mastered for Spotify, Apple Music streaming, right? So it's not being mastered for going to vinyl, mono vinyl record. So yeah, that's about it right there. Yeah, so much better, man. Like I think I'm hoping to explain this stuff well to you guys so you can learn it and kind of get an idea of what I do. A lot of people could get all these plugins. You could buy all these plugins and really just kind of destroy a record even more, to be honest, if you don't know what you're doing. But yeah, that's kind of it, guys. Yeah, it sounds like a radio hit. I think it's a great song. I think he did a great job. I think the mix could be very, very improved with a good mix and master, you know, but they got pretty close with the mix. It's, for me, I feel like it could be better, you know, just be more focused on the mid-range and making the vocals more, yeah, the vocals got to be more record and radio ready, you know, rather than feeling like really scooped out and pushed back into the back and the sub bass like being taken over everything. But hopefully this master kind of, you know, shaped it a little bit better and gave it a little bit more of a chance to do well. Yeah, so that's kind of it right there. Lauren, thanks so much. Always showing love. Luciano, of course, man. There you go. True mastering engineer. You know, it has, honestly, mastering has a lot to do, and mixing has a lot to do with just ear training and doing it for so many years, you know. I mean, shit, I've been mastering, you know, for a long time, but really it's like, it's mixing and it's producing and it's being a musician and player and orchestrator and, you know, recording engineer, and just understanding how things should sound and where the frequencies are not right in different instruments. So that's really important. Yeah, man, that's sick. So Castro, I did a master for him. Don't stop the party. Yeah, dude, that shit was stuck in my head for so long. Yeah. What do you got here? If I were mastering this same song for, I don't know what that said, would I just tweak this chain, or would I totally do another master for vinyl, for example? Oh, that's actually a really good question, Jesse. So for vinyl, you have different curves. input curves on vinyl mixers and all that stuff. So you would be mastering it completely different for vinyl. So if like you're going to a vinyl press, you need to actually do a master for vinyl pressing. I would not just like take this master and press it to vinyl. It wouldn't work. You have different levels that you should be mastering at. The bass has to really be in the middle. So like, for example, I would take the mono maker and probably move it way up, probably into like the 100 to 300 area, right? So there's a lot of things to pay attention to. I forget the name of the curves, but if you go to, like if you Google this, like, vinyl EQ curves, there's like different curves, RIAA equalization. So yeah, you should check out some of this stuff, like understand the RIAA curve and phonographic records and like how that works. So over 100 combinations of turnover and roll-off frequencies were used. But yeah, there's a curve that actually is already applied when they press the vinyl. So you have to be really careful with that. And that's something I've actually done. I've actually cut vinyl. I've cut vinyl. I've actually recorded direct to vinyl at the studio with a quartet. So yeah, it's all in the experience. You wouldn't know this shit until you experience it. But yeah, let's play a before and after. Absolutely. I think that's a good idea. Yeah, you got it, man. Mastering with outboard gear. I used to do that a lot. But the plugins have gotten so much better, like that I sold a lot of my outboard. And we even had custom outboard when I was working with Kevin a lot, my business partner, a couple years ago or a year ago or something like that, where we had a bunch of custom outboard gear. The problem with it is it always needed to be cleaned up. There was always like something that was kind of messy or there was noise in it. And then the recall, because people would always want so many revision rounds, right? They're like, oh, could you, can we do this? Can we tweak that? And then you're like, oh, I got to recall this stuff. It was just so time consuming. And nowadays, like, let's be honest, guys, like, who do you got on here? You got like 18 people on here, right? Like, how much do you want to pay to get your song mastered, right? It used to be where you go to a professional mastering engineer and they charge anywhere from, I'd say $200 to $500, right? And nowadays, like, people are like, I don't want to pay for mastering. I'll just do it myself. So they go and ruin their record, right? But if they do pay a mastering engineer, like, what is the mastering engineer going to charge now, And nowadays, it's like anywhere from $100 to $300, right? So yeah, you just can't, like, you have to master so many records in a day to afford all that outboard gear. Like, outboard gear is so expensive, dude. Like, for the stuff that I'm using here, just like this EQ outboard is so expensive, right? And this is such a good plugin. And I think I paid like $200 for this plugin, And even then, like, that's expensive. Like $200 for that, another $300 for that. This is in a pack, so it's like $15 a month, right? Which is great. Vertigo, another $300 for that. Golfos, this was, I think, $300, $200 to $300. You get like 2 licenses. Oxford Inflator, like $180. Sooth 2, I think around $300. Limitless, I think $200 to $300. Ozone 9 advanced, I mean, I bought this for a lot. I think this was like $1,200 in the pack. So just this chain right here is thousands of dollars. But look at like an outboard piece. Like, if I just swapped out one of these things for outboard, I was like, yo, I'm gonna use the Dangerous EQ. Okay, that's like this whole chain. It's like that Dangerous EQ probably costs like $2,000, $2,500. This Vertigo VSM3 right here, this hardware unit costs like $7,500. Who's going to do that? I mean, what kind of clients are going to pay you that kind of money so that you can afford this gear and to take care of this gear? So yeah, the outboard is fun, but it's just not really reasonable for a business. It's fun if you're like, I'm mastering my own stuff. I have my own studio and I'm just making my own records and I'm hanging out and we're just having fun and I got a bunch of money. Right? Yeah, and Plugin Alliance, yeah, those go on sale every once in a while. You get them to $29, $40, But like I said, so many people just buying plugins and literally have no idea how to use the plugins or what they're even doing with the plugins. So most of the time they're just ruining their records. And I'll be honest with you, like, I think the biggest thing that people waste their time and money on is trying to do it themselves and spending weeks on or months and pushing their record back because they're still mixing their record. Like a mix and a master doesn't take that long. It shouldn't take you months to mix and master your record. And you're wasting all this time so that you could save what, $500 on an engineer? Like the engineer will take $500, get it done in a week, and you're going to spend a month trying to mix and master your record, which then doesn't even sound that good, doesn't translate very well, and people don't even want to listen to it. It's like, just pay the money. Like, pay for someone to do the stuff for you so you could just make the records, make the music, write the raps, grab the beats online, grab the stems and fucking cut records. That's how you make money in the music business, right? You cut records and you get professionals and you get a team around you and you have a budget per record and you put out records as much and as constantly and promote them as much as you can. That's it. Drop a record a month, drop 2 records a month, and just do it consistently for years. And then as your music is getting better and better and your sound is getting designed and your team is building, then you can start to make revenue, get streaming numbers, get sync licensing, all that stuff. But most people are like trying to mix their own records for a month or 2 or putting their records off because it doesn't sound good enough. So they got to learn it. So then they go buy a $300 plugin. Like, oh, I saw Brad do it on a live. He mastered a record. So I should go get the Sooth 2 and the Limitless. And they go spend a fortune on plugins. And then they spend more months just tinkering with plugins. Like, it's crazy. I don't get that. Unless you want to be a mixing, mastering engineer, then it's different, right? So Jesse's got some game there for you guys as well. Heads up, Oxford Inflator on sale, $40 is Sweetwater. That's a great deal. I would get that. See, here I am. It's like, you want to buy all these plugins. Like, why? Just take the money, invest it in your next record, release a record that's going to make money. And then like what I would do and what I do in my music business is when I make income and enough revenue from my music, then I put that into plugins and gear, right? It's a reinvestment, but I only put 10% of my revenues into it. It's not like I'm like just sitting around buying plugins and like buying software. It's crazy. So anyway, guys, that's my 2 cents. I hope you guys really got a lot out of this. Good call. I'm going to play level match. That's a good idea. Yeah, people really got to hear the level matched. So basically the way you do that is just duplicate the track here and I'll copy this down. And then I'll take this through a bus. Here we go. So I'll take this guy and put him out a bus. So we'll have this on our mastering bus. We'll call this Master Augs. And then we will take all of these plugins, my mastering Chen. Yeah, I forgot to do that. I did that on the last mastering live video, so I'll do that here. I know, because loudness, like things get loud, people just automatically think, that's way better. I'm like, maybe not, dude. So let's match up these levels. So this is going through the mastering chain. And you guys also understand I'm streaming live on YouTube. You're not going to hear the full quality. Just so you know, you're going to hear things you're actually going to hear the high end and stuff really weird through the live stream. So if anyone when this record comes out and he releases this record, I'll see if he'd be down to share the before and after mastered file so that we don't have to talk about that. All right, so here's the mix. All right, so the mix probably needs to come up. I'm going to just boost it up 6 dB and we'll start to match this as much as we can. All right, so here is the mastered version, or actually I'll just play his version first. The mix first.
And I can only go where you lead me, but that's how you like it. So that's how I like it. And I can only go where you lead me, but that's how you like it. So that's how I like it. I know that your love ain't nothing but a reflex, but fuck all of the lies and all the secrets, 'cause life is way
I mean, that's it right there. You know, more three-dimensional. It's just got more mids. You can hear what he's saying and everything. But it's also just like, you know, it's more professional. This will actually translate a lot better. The biggest thing with mastering that's really hard for people to understand is they're like, oh no, I like the other one better. And they're like, dude, but it's like super low in volume. There's tons of sub. Like, it's going to get to Spotify. It's going to get turned down. So Spotify, if you hit -12 LUF, Spotify won't touch your record, meaning they won't turn it up or down. If you're above that, like, they're going to turn it down, right? If you're below that, they're going to turn it up. So it's just a matter of like wanting to compete and make sure that your like record sounds like a record. And the record part of it to me is like the glue, the harmonics, the not really like missing something or having too much of something, right? So the sub stuff really does, like in this record, is just would destroy it on streaming. It just wouldn't work. So, but that's it. Yeah, it's a lot clearer, it's a lot bigger, it's a lot wider. There's a lot more dimension to it. Like really what you want to pay attention to is like the reverbs and stuff as I A/B this. So I'll play this one. This is the mix. And like just pay attention to, like, first of all, like pay attention to the depth and pay attention to the width. Okay? That's really important here.
Fell in love with a photo. Don't know how we ever left you solo. Fell in love with a photo. Don't know how we ever left you solo. I just know that I'm fucking with you. But legs tied, but I still could run a mile. On edge, think I'm falling off. Reaching out.
Also, you hear like those backgrounds, you hear these harmonies here. Like, this is a big one, right? I'm gonna let you hear the mastered version compared to the mix here.
But legs tied, but I still could run a mile. But legs tied, but I still could.
Oops, sorry.
But legs tied, but I still could run a mile. On edge, think. But legs tied, but I still could run a mile. On edge, think I'm falling off.
You know, it just jumps out of the speakers. You get like the still could run a mile. Like the harmonies, they're big, they're stacked up. Anyway, that's all the time I got for today, my friends. I hope you guys had fun with this. And hopefully it was, you know, cool to watch. Yeah, a lot less woofiness, man. Like that sub was just eating everything. But yeah, you guys, I hope you guys have a good day. And take care. Peace out.